This is the Troutbitten podcast.
Troutbitten.
Troutbitten?
Troutbitten.
Troutbitten.
Troutbitten?
Yeah, Troutbitten.
Troutbitten.
It's about trout.
Wild trout. This is Troutbitten.
This is the Troutbitten podcast, and thanks for tuning in. My name is Dominic Swantowski. I'm the owner of Troutbitten and the author of troutbitten.com. So welcome back. It's season 15, and here in our 6th episode this spring, we want to talk about breakthroughs, just for each of us, as a personal account. What have been the biggest changes or the biggest steps forward in our own fishing? I guess I call these breakthroughs. To me, they're sort of the landmarks or discoveries or changes along the way of learning where I can look back and say, now that made a really big difference. So we talk a lot about a life on the water, and really each of us here at Troutbitten has fished most of our lives. And the truth is, it's not really been a hobby or a pastime as much as it's been part of our lives for a long, long time. So fishing fills our thoughts and our plans. Other fishermen tend to be our closest friends. So yeah, all of this means a lot to us. And I've written articles, and the guys and I have talked about how to stay in the fishing game for a lifetime. And we all agreed that the mystery, the problem solving, that active nature of fishing, of trying to make things happen rather than a passive way of fishing, has been a main driving force behind our long-term interest, let's say. And precisely because we're always working on improving. We're often looking for that next big breakthrough, the next tactic, the next style. Maybe it's the next fly. Maybe it's another leader build or a change. Maybe it's the influence of a new friend, or it's some other piece of gear, some knowledge about the trout themselves. Maybe it's a new river, whatever it is. And I know as I look back on my own years of fishing, I can put my finger on a half dozen landmarks, like the really big ones. And then there's small ones too. But those really big ones, things that for me really changed everything. I'm also constantly searching for that next big breakthrough, or even smaller breakthroughs. We could talk about all that. But again, that's where so much of the enjoyment of fishing begins for me. And I know for these guys too. So these landmarks or these breakthroughs are surely different for everyone. This is another favorite question that I often ask of some new anglers that I meet. I love hearing their stories. So that's what we're here to do tonight with the Troutbitten guys. We're going to talk. There's no real tactics here, nothing instructional, just a conversation about some moments in time or the discoveries that have kept us fishing and kept us motivated throughout a life on the water. All right, let me introduce the Troutbitten guys here with me tonight. So hey, Bill Dell's in the house. How you doing, bud?
Good. Glad to be here.
High and tight. Get over your Lyme disease.
Yeah.
We just talked about that.
Stupid ticks. I don't know what's worse, those or bears. I think ticks are worse than bears.
Ticks are worse than bears, no doubt about it. You don't have to take doxycycline just by looking at a bear, do you?
No. But if I got a bear on me, it might need more than a doxycycline.
Well, there's Matt Grobe from Montana. Yeah. He's going,
I was going to say,
about bears.
Haven't you seen the news lately? The two guys that shot down the Grizz?
No,
two anglers?
You always have stories about that out there, like first-hand accounts.
Did I send it to Delhi?
I didn't see it.
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you guys. But yeah, two guys had to. I don't know if they shot it, but they got charged.
What do you mean? I thought you meant
by a Grizzly.
Yeah, legally
they got charged.
Okay.
Wow. Two guys. They got charged, and I don't know if they shot it. I have to read this. I'll send you the article. They either shot it or a bluff charged and went away, and then they shut down the area.
Mm. Now, why do they shut down the area?
Scary. Well, so this time of year is the worst because of bears coming out of hibernation, and then carcasses. So, they get
wintered over.
Yeah, they're just in a bad, angry state of mind, and they won't. They shut down a fishing access site along the Yellowstone this week because there's a grizzly on a elk carcass just trying to protect people. And there's more bears, man. Every year there's more and more bears.
Are you serious?
So
the population's growing?
Massive.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There's a big political, thing going on right now, whether to delist them, whether to not delist them. They need to delist them.
And then what? Do a lottery system for hunting?
Yeah, but I mean, even that, it's not really like they're never going to give out enough tags to, really alter things. But what's happened with the Endangered Species Act is, they wanted to, the bear was going to be fully recovered at 600 bears, right? And that needle keeps moving. And now there's 2,000 bears in the Yellowstone ecosystem, not including Glacier. So you might have 4,000 or 5,000 grizzlies in Montana. And at what point is it recovered?
Yeah.
And should we celebrate the story? I mean, it's a wonderful success story, right?
Well, when's the beginning of that success story? How long has it been?
Oh man, I think it's 60s, 70s. There was only less than 2 dozen bears in Yellowstone National Park, and now we're at 5,000. I think it's it's okay to say, hey, we did a good job.
That might be enough. Yeah, rebalance the ecosystem.
Anyway, I don't want to take up too much time on that, but
all right.
But anyway, Del, you'd rather get bit by a tick?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Of course, your bears are different.
Yeah.
Josh Darling is here with us. When's the last time you saw a black bear in the woods, bud?
I saw one driving like 3 weeks ago in the woods when I was out there, though.
Mm-hmm.
The last time you remember when I crashed that drone on top of that mountain when we were filming and fishing? Yeah. When I hiked up to find it, there was a bear up there.
I didn't know that. Like up on the ridge?
Yeah,
I've never
up on the ridge.
I've never seen one in that valley ever.
Yeah, he's on the ridge.
Yeah, I mean,
probably nobody's ever up there, Josh. Right? Maybe a couple of hunters a year.
Oh man, I don't even know if hunters are going to be up there.
Yeah, I know. Why would anybody be?
That's like rock climbing stuff. That's
Austin.
That's Austin. Austin.
I mean, that's what it was like, just getting up to it.
That's
the last time I saw one in the
that's
in
a
the
year
woods
and a half
with me.
or something ago, maybe.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
I see him, I don't know, a couple times a year. And I don't know. I mean, the black bear don't scare me. I'm not going to go try to shake hands with him, but I do. I kind of enjoy it. I often have my dog though when I see him, and that's always changed things. It's always given me a comfort level. That not that the dog would necessarily win a fight with the bear, but the black bear just see you and the dog, and they go, gonna go the other way.
Interested.
That's the way it's always gone for me.
I've got a brute here on our farm that I've got 3 years of trail camera pictures of.
No kidding.
And he's enormous. Biggest Pennsylvania bear. Yeah, but I've not come across him in the woods yet. Yeah.
Hey, I didn't know people. I didn't know that people bow hunted for bear. Like that's how out of touch I am.
Yeah.
But I had a client last week that was telling me he does that. That's bold. Right.
That's cool.
Right. I guess.
Yeah.
I'd want to be very confident with my accuracy. Because you're getting, Josh, you and I talked about this for a moment last Friday. How close did you say you're trying to be to that bear before you shoot him?
If you're with a bow in Pennsylvania, 40 and in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Might want to practice before you go out there.
Yeah.
I ask if guys take firearms with them in case like something bad happens. You miss the shot and the bear starts charging you. Are you allowed to do that?
Self-defense, you can do anything pretty much. I mean, you can shoot a grizzly bear, right?
And you're not going to get in trouble.
But I mean, pucker factor, right?
Yeah, how about it? I might have the bow in one hand and like somebody behind me with the gun in case I missed.
They do that in certain places. I forget.
Do they?
Yeah, I think Kodiak, Alaska, like when they're shooting those Kodiaks, people do that. Yeah,
you might want to have a quick backup plan.
Yeah.
All right, there's the Meat Eater podcast. Thanks for listening. Let's do a question from Tom Chad. Tom has two first names. We took his question anyway. Anybody want to read it or you want me to do it?
I got it.
Bill Dell from Tom Chad. Here we go.
Tom Chad. Dom, props to you and the crew for the Selectivity podcast that you published today.
Yeah.
That was a good one that had me thinking in ways that I haven't before about trout.
Yeah.
I guess I always thought of selectivity as relative to the fishermen.
Mm-hmm.
They see our flies enough so they don't take them. I love the idea that trout are selective because of natural conditions. That was a good breakdown in the difference. Do you think a better word than selectivity would be spooky? Basically, are trout spooky because of natural conditions and selective because of fisherman pressure? Great podcast, guys. Keep them going. Fish on, Tom.
Fish on.
Fish on, Tom.
Fish on, he says. Go get him. He didn't use tight lines as the sign off. He used fish on. Thanks, Tom Chad.
I think I like that better.
Do you? Yeah, me too. Not a big tight lines guy, you know?
Loose lines.
Thoughts? You get his point, right?
I think that's a pretty accurate way to describe it.
Do you?
Trout spooky because of natural conditions and selective because of the fisherman pressure. I mean, I think there's some truth to both of those things, right? Mm-hmm. It's just how you put it, right? Or how you're wrapping your head around
That's
it.
True. That's true.
And I don't think he's too out of sorts breaking it down like that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think spooky is more like the fish gets scared and runs away.
That's what I feel like too.
Like that's what spooky means to me. Like it's low and clear, and if I make a bad cast, the fish is gone.
Yeah, and they can be on edge and very spooky.
Yeah. Where if the water is up and high, the fish can still be selective, but not necessarily spooky.
Right on.
If there's a lot of bugs in the water and and it's up and the fish can't see you at all, and you're still 5 feet away from them, they're not going to necessarily be spooky. They're just picky about what they're eating.
Mm-hmm.
And that pickiness can come from pressure, but selective trout are still feeding, and spooky trout likely aren't.
Ooh, I like that. I hadn't thought of it that way.
Ooh,
that's right.
That is good.
That's it.
Darling got it.
He wins. Game over.
Yes.
There you go, Chad. I mean, Tom, Chad. No, that's it, man. That is it. All right. So, Josh, we said last week, it's kind of along the same lines. We talked about how guys from Connecticut say, like, oh, when trout know they're playing the game, then like these guys will fish in different ways. And we were saying, man, we feel like if trout know they're playing the game, they're done. They're out of there. Like they're spooked and they're not going to eat. Whether they take off or not, they are not going to eat if they know you're there. You have any thoughts on that?
No, it feels right to me. I mean, it feels like they just kind of hunker down. Feels like if the moment a step comes too loud, the moment a shadow crosses over them, like it feels to me like they just shut down and stop eating generally.
Yeah. Anyway, like you said, if they're spooked, then they're probably not eating. And then, man, if they're selective, how do you put it? Say it again. Do you have it again?
I think I said selective trout are still eating and spooky trout aren't, or still feeding.
Man, this guy's smart, right? Who needs Doc? Right?
I don't know.
Or Dando.
Oh, well, let's acknowledge. Let's acknowledge.
The new dad.
Austin, so Austin and his wife Paige had a baby, Brooke Elizabeth Dando. 20 inches, the whiskey mark.
Whiskey. Had a whiskey.
20-inch baby. I forget the poundage, but I saw that 20-inch. I went, there you go. You know?
The poundage. He pulled it out with 2X. All right.
That's good. Okay. So moving on. Anyway, we've been talking about it for a few weeks now, and we all predicted that Austin would probably not be here this week, and that, of course, is why. So that was just this morning. We're all happy for Austin.
We're happy, but I questioned his thought process on this.
Go ahead.
I mean, I
didn't know
it's the best time of year. You got your kid. You gotta have it in July, man, or maybe March.
Right.
But
you get out of here.
I mean, you can't have a kid in May in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, you got to think these things through. Mm-hmm.
My goodness, come on, Austin.
So maybe he'll be back next week. Maybe he'll be back next season. Who knows?
Yeah.
Let's see how see how everything's going.
Yeah.
You guys will know that the first one, right? That's the hard. That's like, I say the hardest, but it's like the most shocking.
Yeah.
You can read books. You can try to mentally prepare, but you don't know until it.
Well, did you notice the baby was born at 9:40 or something like that?
In the morning. That's a nice one. That's a nice birth.
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Well, she went in last night at like 10.
Oh,
yeah, it probably means they didn't sleep at all.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a tough one. And when I told Becky that they went in at 10 o'clock and that whatever, like things were happening, she said, oh, it's going to be a long night.
Right.
Of course, she was right. All right. Are we ready?
We're ready.
Here we go. Smith Creek has always been about practical, durable gear. And this season, they've added 2 more products to the lineup. Smith Creek's Wade Soft EVA wading belt is soft, flexible, and built to move with you, not against you. It cinches down without pinching and holds your gear steady with a tough Duraflex buckle and accessory clip. And if you're looking for an all-purpose carrying knife, Smith Creek's new Pike Tooth Knife Kit delivers. The Japanese steel blade comes razor sharp right out of the box, precise enough for streamside tasks and tough enough for camp chores. It includes a Waterstone, wrist lanyard, and a rugged neoprene sheath that's ready for trail, stream, or camping. So whether you're rigging up or dressing down, Smith Creek's got you covered. Like so many other Smith Creek products, the Wade Soft Wading Belt and the Pike Tooth Knife Kit have found a permanent home in my own fishing kit. Learn more at smithcreek.co. Hey, this episode is supported by Trident Fly Fishing. Trident is one of the best fly shops in the United States. With over 30,000 fly fishing and fly tying products in stock, they have everything an angler needs, and they ship fast. Trident also has a huge selection of Euro nymphing supplies, from rods and reels, leaders and sighters, beadhead nymphs, tactical hooks, and tungsten beads. And all orders over $49 ship for free. So for a limited time, Trident is offering Troutbitten listeners 10% off their order. Just use the code Troutbitten in all caps at checkout. Visit tridentflyfishing.com and fill up your cart. Let's dig in. Anybody have anything you want to start us off with? Like, you get the topic, right? Looking back, what made the biggest difference? I guess I shouldn't say biggest difference, but some of your biggest differences, right? They're like the monumental things. One of the best breakthroughs maybe that you can think of that led to more fishing success. Really, as I was thinking about this, maybe it's not even success numbers in the net. Maybe it led to more enjoyment of the whole thing. I don't know. However you guys want to think about it.
I'll jump in with mine. Obviously I have a couple. But for me, one of the biggest monuments of my fishing career was when I was targeting wild trout.
Okay.
Because I spent most of my time growing up chasing stocked fish, bass, whatever. And there was, we talked about it numerous times on this podcast. Nothing wrong with that. That's all I had, you know. But
Fish
when
what
my older brother went to college up your way, and that changed the game for me as we started targeting those waterways. And I'll never forget.
Good point.
Gaining the confidence knowing there was a fish where they were supposed to be was monumental. You said it. It changed everything for me. Changed, where I wanted to fish, my approach, the flies I tied, matching hatches, all of it. That single-handedly changed my angling career, chasing that type of the fish, that wild trout.
I like it. I hadn't thought about that one. I bet we all would say that. Matt, would you say that's because you summarized it as the fish were finally doing what they're supposed to do? You felt like you could learn more then?
Without a doubt, right? Because you can't, you guys know, and this is like, I grew up, I owe my hobby to the stock trout, but they're not predictable. We've talked about it, right? There's no, if you have a bad early hot May or people keep their limit, it's just unpredictable. So you could be doing the right thing. You could be having the right drift with the right fly, and there's no fish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And so you can get kind of mentally messed up with that. But when you pursue the fish at a healthy wild trout stream, you can confidently say, okay, well, I know there's fish here.
That's nice.
Right? And if you're not getting that response, then just something else is wrong with the game. But you don't have that luxury when you're fishing stock waters. Am I wrong?
No, that's nice.
No, I had a very similar experience, Matt. I'd spent some time fishing with my friend John in central Pennsylvania and fishing for wild trout and fishing the limestone streams. And then I came back home and I tried to do the same thing on some of our delayed harvest. And I was, the fish weren't in the same water that I was catching them there. Yeah. It wasn't as predictable. And like you said, like, I didn't know if there were fish there. The other thing that I'll kind of tie into this is because it kind of plays along with the wild trout, and usually the wild trout streams are a little more fertile and have more insects. And so I didn't realize, like, let's say sulfurs. I didn't realize after I fished, let's say 4 or 5 times and hit a sulfur hatch, I just assumed every trout stream had a sulfur hatch that started at 7 p.m. and ended at 9 p.m. when it got dark, and it got better as it got darker. And so I would go out around here and I was like, well, they must have been the weather today or something. I'll come back tomorrow. And I went through it, let's say a dozen times, and I was like, okay, well, I'm missing something here. And it's, it's kind of like there's those hatches don't always happen on every stream.
Sure.
And
Great
so,
point.
yeah. And I was like, oh, well, now I need to find like streams that have better bug life. I guess in summary, it's just to know not every stream is going to have the same bug life, and not every hatch, the sulfur hatch doesn't happen on every river.
How old
every
were you?
Stream.
Do you think?
This is my late 20s, I think.
Yeah, you were already fishing like your whole childhood.
Yeah, but
it
then
could take that long to have,
and I was like, oh, okay, I see. Because I was like, oh, well, once you see it once, you're like, oh, well, this must happen everywhere, and it doesn't. And that, you start to learn that certain streams are special for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
You're almost a product of the environment you're in, right?
Oh, you can't help it.
Yeah.
And you could sit here and look at there's not a it's not a there's a reason there's so many good anglers that come from that region you're in right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like world famous anglers, whether that's authors, guides, what you name it. I mean, and it's a result of the classroom you're in every day. And it's when you're not when you're in a different classroom, an artificial one, you learn at a slower pace. Like me and Deli, and Dom, right?
Oh, right. I was right. I was the same. I was on the same track as you guys. That's why I liked when you said that, Matt. You said, well, it was when I started fishing for wild trout. That was maybe my first big breakthrough. And I was like, oh, yeah, me too. My first big one, if I really think back to that, maybe that first big breakthrough, it was getting out of hip waders and into chest waders. And there's like that's a gear thing. But I all of a sudden, man, I could just go where I wanted to. I was the kind of kid who just always went over my hip boots.
I did, yeah.
Right. Did you guys do that too? And
Yeah.
I was short too. I was a short kid. I didn't really grow
have that
until I was
problem.
10. No, you didn't. 10th or 11th grade is when I finally started to grow a little bit. And still, I'm only, 5'10". And whatever. So I was always going over those hip boots. My dad would get mad at me. My uncle would say, why'd you do that to yourself again? It's 38 degrees out here and, you're cold. Your fault. Anyway.
Did you go to neoprene chest waders to begin with?
Yeah, I did have one pair of those, and then it was like the original Sims breathable chest waders and shit, man. I was late teens, early 20s by that point. Yeah, I was early 20s.
I think the breathable waders, I think, was a great breakthrough for me because
it is
because before it was like, oh man, it's like 50 degrees out. I am sweating bullets in these neoprenes.
Makes you not want to fish.
Right. It's not
that's
comfortable.
too hot. Right.
I don't have anything to say. I'm the skin tight Hodgman guy. So if you were in your early 20s, that's the time where I was in my mid teens and I was fishing skin tight Hodgmans, the neoprenes that were just nasty hot, dude.
Josh, what do you have, man? What are you thinking? You're so young. You haven't had any breakthroughs really, probably,
No. I mean, shout out to Austin. He was sort of like the introduction to so much for me. Like we met at a really similar.
Was your breakthrough?
Yeah, well, definitely. We met at a really similar stage in fishing, and so he and I were both, all fly line, mostly stocked trout is what we had grown up with, and we met at Penn State on Instagram and started fishing together. He got in with you guys, and that was sort of the first example of like fishing buddies I had, and when that started, it was like it sort of all came flooding in, like, tight line and contact and the mono rig and all these different leader concepts. And it was just like it was like the floodgates opened. You know what I mean?
That is like a bunch of things all at once, you're saying.
Yeah, it really was. If I were to think back on like maybe a simpler one that probably came earlier, I think like waiting. Like we all start like fumbling our way through the water and sort of tripping, and it sounds like nothing, but it's actually I think it changed everything for me. Like
what did?
When I started so we've talked about like how waiting is different than walking, and you have to give your foot time to settle into its spot.
Okay.
But then there was this additional thing, and it was almost like claiming ground. Like
nice.
It's as if my foot, it's like not stomping, but like stepping with a lot more purpose and not tiptoeing anymore.
Nice.
Like once you feel like your foot kind of like is claiming ground in the river, like it's supposed to be there. And I found that when I started almost stomping the way that I waded, like the whole river kind of opened up to me. And because even when I was just slowly making my way through the river, letting each foot settle, there was still like a timidity to it. And I think that once I started being a little bit more aggressive and not really worrying, like, am I going to scare the fish? Because generally you're not going to. Like if you're staying below them, you're just generally not going to. And I just found out that it opened the whole river to me. And so now those heavier stuff on the other side were completely accessible, because as long as it's not over your waders, chances are you can wade it and you can stand in it. And so
That's pretty cool.
That's a good one.
Yeah. You had mentioned friends, right? And we're not going chronologically here, but just to kind of piggyback on that. I mean, the forum, that was an avenue for me for friendship, and, opened so many doors, kind of what you were talking about with Austin and the mono rig and, different leader designs. And, the leader design thing, I'd kind of would specify my experience prior to Troutbitten in regards to dry flies, right? I had a lot of different leaders when it came to dry fly fishing, but when we got together on the forum and we're talking shop, we mostly concentrated on the nymphing game, right, Dom? I mean, we talked right at the very early stages. We were very much in singular focused on nymphing and nymphing tactics.
That was the new thing to us, right? That's what we were. That was the breakthrough. That was the big thing for me. That's one of my main things of those half dozen, I would say, is that whole mono rig stuff.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, I mean, it was new, it was fresh. We were challenging each other. We were talking about direct results we were experiencing on a daily basis.
Oh yeah.
Intertwining them within our own skill set, and then coming back and talking about our successes or not. And there was so many layers to that still to this day, right?
Yeah.
And I would say I'm still learning so much, but like that first dive into it, man, was so exciting, so challenging, right? And it was almost like you were trying to wrap your head around so much at once. It took commitment over a long time, doing it day in, day out, and getting those results incrementally. But that was monumental. I mean, no question about it. The forum and the friendship.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how quickly fish to net numbers just skyrocketed. You know? Like I was fishing with Austin, and we were sort of like just trying to figure out these wild trout in central Pennsylvania. And we were using the tactics we'd grown up fishing for stockfish and bass and stuff. And for me, it was all trailers on, under an indicator always. And it was never tight to an indicator. It was just fly line indicator, egg followed by a crackleback or something, You
always talk about that crackleback.
Yeah, that's what it's like that was the money fly growing up.
Yeah, baby.
And then I came here and I'm like, wow, this thing doesn't work at all. And it was just a tactic thing. It probably would work,
Yeah.
It probably would work just fine. But so we were just sort of like fumbling our way through it. And then, he kind of started developing a relationship with you guys and opening his mind up to more. And then he was like, Josh, you got to try this. Like, let's go fishing again. Like, remember how we didn't catch anything last time? I promise you it won't be that way this time. And so we started, he introduced me to a ton, and it 10x'd my fish count,
Yeah, just about. I remember it definitely tripled or quadrupled my fish count.
Yeah.
I had the same experience when I met and started fishing with Greg. And I think just finding someone else to bounce ideas off of, or that has the same passion, you can, when you spend 6 hours in a car with someone driving back and forth from places and just, talking about fishing, and I don't know, I think it benefits both people.
Yeah.
And you just kind of like, you got, two heads are better than one, and you're trying to, I think just that ability to, just bounce ideas and share ideas, and then, take feedback from different people.
Yeah. You find those trusted friends.
Yeah.
That's the word, though. They got to be, I don't know, they also have to be people that are really into it. You have to be able to trust them, yes, but they got to Well, they got to have good ideas or else it doesn't mean much.
Yeah.
Right. What we're referring to here is that Troutbitten forum. We've talked about that before. What was that, Matt? Like probably 15 years ago, right? Because
Man, yeah.
15,
at least,
16
man.
years ago. I was thinking
It was,
about, it is,
yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And and then Bill, you came in real quick after that. It was like there were 4 or 5 of us, 6 of us in the very beginning, and then you and then Austin came on, like you're saying, Josh, and then that forum definitely changed my life.
Who invited Dell? Was it
I
me?
think it was you.
Yeah,
think.
and Pat got you in there, Matt.
Yeah, Pat got me in without a
Yeah.
doubt. And then because that was at the very, very beginning, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And then we went through a phase of some other, randoms in and out. But Deli was, I remember.
Well-
I was curious because I remember it, but I don't remember it as vividly as Pat stalking me on Facebook.
Well, I was always, you guys will know, I was always trying to get more people to come in.
Yeah.
And I knew we wanted to trust them. We wanted to, be able to, the coolest thing about that forum was nobody held anything back. We talked about spots and tactics and flies and whatever. And I was like, well, if you got a trusted buddy, let's have him in here too.
Right.
And whatever, I was always the one that really wanted to kind of expand things. You're right, Matt. Like some of that didn't work out, but
but it wasn't a bad thing. It just didn't work.
No, sure, absolutely. And you find your people, and here we are. If it wasn't for that Troutbitten forum and Josh, we wouldn't have met you. Like you're saying,
Right.
He came in through Austin. That sharing of information might be the most important thing. It's probably more important than my chest waders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I really think, like you said, Deli, I mean, if you find those people, whoever, wherever you are, whoever you are, if you can find other people to share those ideas with. I mean, that's why people like, social media and stuff like that. You feel the way social media used to be anyway. You could really find your people and share some ideas.
Sure.
Whether it's after a fishing trip or at a backyard fire, you can bet the Troutbitten crew has a case of New Trail Broken Heels along with us. It's honestly our favorite beer. This hazy IPA is smooth and full-bodied. Hand-selected Citra hops lead to notes of bright clementine and juicy ruby red grapefruit. Broken Heels is a keeper. New Trail beer is proudly brewed in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and delivered cold to your favorite craft beer retailer every week. At New Trail, it's not about being the best angler. It's about getting out there. So enjoy nature's moments and reward yourself for a day well fished with New Trail Broken Heels. It's Troutbitten's favorite beer. Tactical Fly Fisher was founded by Fly Fishing Team USA angler Devin Olson to bring anglers cutting-edge gear and techniques inspired by the World Fly Fishing Championships. Tactical Fly Fisher's goal is to supply you with the latest and best fly fishing gear and to help you learn how to use it through their videos and books. Whether you need flies, fly tying supplies, a new rod or reel, or any other fly fishing equipment, they've got you covered. Check them out at tacticalflyfisher.com and use the code TB15 to get 15% off one order, excluding rods, reels, waders, and boots. Visit tacticalflyfisher.com.
There's some other, forums out there that are prominent, and that's why people enjoy them, right? Like you guys, you have a fairly, I haven't looked at it in years, but the PA forum, right?
PA Fly
Fisherman
Fish.
Forum, kind
Yeah.
of same thing. It's like a big camaraderie group, and they have outings and look, some people when there's that many eyes on it, right? Maybe it can be seen as harmful, but
and then people are going to hold back with,
sure.
They won't be as free flowing with information or ideas as we were with our 8 person forum.
Sure.
Private.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that's all. I don't know too many folks in the game here that haven't had an influential human, be a monumental change in their career, whether that's a dad or, someone they look up to in the industry or whatever, right? Dom, you could be that, you're that guy to a lot of people. The forum,
you guys
Troutbitten
are
in general.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
But
Sure.
we're taking that, and I can't tell you how many times I hear people, enjoy the forum. They feel close to us as they should, right? We feel close to our listeners, but that whole thing is maybe is impactful as anything we're going to bring to the table the rest of the night.
Yeah, that is it. And we're all nodding our heads. That is it. Don't fish by yourself. I guess maybe that's the message. Not that you go fish by yourself. Don't try to do the whole thing by yourself, right?
Ask questions, hang out with people, and
sure.
And then you have to, we all, I would say, maybe, I don't know, maybe Josh as much as Dell and John, but I think we enjoy fishing solo.
Oh yeah. That's why I corrected myself. I like to fish by myself, but the whole endeavor isn't by myself.
But I think we all intertwine, friends in our experiences. But there's definitely, I guess in my growth, I like to go on the water and test all that stuff myself on my own pace, which is why I fish myself. There's just a certain agenda I'm on, that sometimes you can only accomplish when you're singularly focused with no distractions, right? Yeah. And not all the distractions are bad, but it's good to spend the time on the water by yourself every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. Josh, I like what you were saying there, how everything was very much compressed for you. Everything kind of happened all at once.
Landslide, yeah.
Everything you mentioned, I felt like, I went through that. Yep, I went through that. But those things were more spread out for me.
There were years, like I remember when I first started, I first started nymphing, and I didn't have tungsten. I had split shot.
Sure, same.
And I didn't have a sighter, and I was just fishing like just a regular leader or with an indicator. And then like Greg was like, "Here, you can put this, this sighter material." And that was like a game changer. I was like,
sure.
Oh, I can tell now. Like I can see and I was still, I fished fly line for probably, I don't know, I'd say I have 800 days on the water nymphing with fly line at least.
You mean fly line, like a 9-foot leader?
Yeah, like a 9-foot leader fishing with nymphs. And then understanding it and managing the weight and everything. And tungsten, tungsten was not far behind like the sighter as far as like a breakthrough, like just being able to put like weight on just flies and just get the flies down without so much split shot on them, like fishing bigger and heavier water. And I was like, oh, this is, this tungsten stuff is awesome. Like it's all I'm buying now.
You brought up another one that I hadn't thought about. You're right, man, the sighter. So when I read Humphrey's trout tactics, he talks about the mono rig. That's why I still call it a mono rig. And I tried that. I tried it back then. I would have it in my vest. I'd occasionally bring it out. And I tried it. I really didn't know what to do with it. And so he said much more often that he was fishing a 10, 11, 12-foot leader. Really, it's like a adaptation of the Harvey dry leader. And he was fishing that. So I was like, that's what I'm going to do. And again, it's fly line. You'd have the way he taught how to do it was 2, 3, 4 feet of fly line out, and then all that leader out. Cool. And then you're staying pretty close. Again, almost like 2 rod lengths away.
Yeah.
Like I still prefer to do. And a tuck cast and all that stuff, but you still had the influence of that fly line. And I was getting pretty good with that. I felt like I was catching fish. But again, when I realized that I could put a sighter in there, I don't know why the hell I didn't think of it myself.
I know, yeah, same thing. I remember I'd come home, I'd have headaches because just trying to look at that brown maxima against the water, and I was, you're just guessing, and there's no feel. There's no feel with fly line.
Right? Yeah. Oh yeah, that's all gone. It's like softened. The fly line softens any feel that you had. And I remember Humphreys would say, just look at the end of the fly line, or just look at where the the leader goes into the water. I'm like, I can't see that very well. And then he was always saying, to just tick that bottom, Well, I'd tick and then I'd stick, and I'd tick and then I'd stick again. It was a more frustrating thing. As soon as I realized, I could put some gold strand in the middle there. I could put some red amnesia in the middle there. Oh my God. It opened everything up.
Yeah.
And that was a really, really big deal. And then whatever, I made the leader longer. Well, back to almost what Humphreys was saying, like just use a really, really long leader so you're not using fly line. And so then I finally kind of understood what he was talking about with a mono rig.
Bill, you said you said the word tag fly when you were talking about weight, and that made me think about how much of a difference that made for me. Like when I started thinking about rigging with purpose, up until then, I was always running a point fly in a trailer because that's just what I saw people do. Sure. And then when I got introduced to this concept of like tags, everything changed. And suddenly I was thinking about spacing and tension and
No
how
kidding.
each fly affected the drift. And like all of a sudden I could adjust the depth without rebuilding the whole rig. And like I could, fish a little bit more confidently knowing I was covering what I thought I was covering without just hoping to get lucky. And that changed everything. And that really wasn't until I started fishing here in Pennsylvania.
I see a lot of guys that struggle with that rigging still, like so I get that. I get how that's a monumental, change.
It seems like a small thing, right?
It does.
But it does.
But it's so important, right? It's so important understanding why you do it, number one, how it affects the drifts. Like Josh was saying, I would say it was a long time ago, Josh, but I was in a similar situation with that tractor trailer. It was the go-to no matter what I had going on. And, understanding tag positions and different times of year and how to fish that. That's an important addition to the arsenal for sure.
I remember the first day I ever met you, Matt. You had a stonefly and with tractor trailer and a green weenie behind it.
That's just cheating.
That's just cheating. And just knuckle dragging that thing through the river.
That's right. Where was the split shot? Was it in between the flies or above the stone?
I don't even remember.
Usually above. Yeah.
Really?
No, I would usually, but part of that, usually I would do it above the big stonefly, and then I drip something off after. But you just go and here's the thing: you would catch fish, so
sure,
but it wasn't when you did it differently. You're like, whoa,
right?
Okay, it was one of those moments, like, so I can do better.
Yeah, many of the adjustments in the leaders and the tactics, and even in the way I'm seeing things or understanding things, that's what it really comes down to. Is I realize, I have control over that. I know where things are. I can make them go faster, slower, have more slack, more drag. You realize that these really minor adjustments, like adding a sighter or having tungsten beaded flies or putting flies on a tag, these seemingly minor adjustments, man, you go, ooh, now I get to make the decisions, and I'm doing this with purpose.
Yeah. No, those are all good. Another one for me is tying my own flies. That was, I used to poach older brother Bill's patterns for, longer than I probably should have when I'd get into the fishing game. And then when
poach them, like take them.
I'd, I'd just grab, we'd sit around the picnic tables up at one of our favorite limestone streams campgrounds and stock up for the trip. And then when I started, tying my own flies, it really just, you go into a different level of understanding your waters, what bugs do, how do you want things to sink, where do you want things to ride? You just get more intimate with the whole process when it comes to fly fishing. And that was big, man. It's a whole other, the materials and body colors and dubbings and the research involved in getting into that. I mean, it definitely takes your game up another level by default, just because you have to force yourself into, understanding these things. Mm-hmm. And that was a big one for me when I started diving into that. And I'm thankful I did, because I think that's a piece to this whole game and this whole puzzle that's instrumental in success.
I think it was a game changer for me, because we didn't have a lot of fly shops around here. And so if I needed any flies, I'd order them online, or I'd order them from Fly Fisherman's Paradise. Back then it would take almost a week to 2 weeks to come in, and I wanted to fish the next day. And so I needed flies. And so I started tying out of necessity. I can go home and I can make, 6 hare's ears, and I can go back and start fishing tomorrow, and I don't have to wait for it to come in the mail.
I started tying as soon as I started fly fishing. I was tying, and in large part, like you're saying, Bill, because it's what I needed. But I don't know, Woody Banks in the Indiana Angler Fly Shop also was just like, well, if you're gonna fly fish, you're gonna need a tie. And that dude he wasn't trying to sell me anything either. He's the most genuine, nicest guy ever. And he gave me so many things. He probably lost money on me as a customer. I'd buy one thing, he'd give me 2. Anyway, Woody was the best. And he just kind of instilled in me, like, well, if you're fly fishing, you ought to be tying. And boy, am I glad. I mean it, from the very beginning of me fly fishing, the two things went hand in hand.
It's just super cool.
And it makes you think about things more. Like like it makes you research, like, okay, what bugs are in the stream? So I need to tie patterns that look like these bugs.
Yeah. And then you realize you're in control of another thing, another element. You know, I came from fishing minnows, and it used to be hard to find minnows. It was hard to find the bait. Once I got into like June, especially into July, nobody was carrying them because there's nobody out there fishing minnows anymore. And so I remember how I felt so empowered in a way. I was like, oh, I'm going fishing tomorrow. I can just tie these half dozen flies that I feel like I'm going to need. I don't have to rely on a bait shop. I'm going to tie these flies. And they last a hell of a lot longer than a live minnow too, you know? I remember that feeling like, oh, this is so much better. And I don't have to spend $2 on a rooster tail. I think that's what they were back then. What are they now? Like $8 for a rooster tail? I don't know. That's probably not.
That's probably
about right.
It might be
6
5,
or 7.
6, 8. Yeah.
Tariffs jacked them up to 15.
That's right. That's right. Matt, what about the Harvey leader? Was that, but you didn't start out dry fly fishing with a Harvey leader, did you? Like, I know you use it now for all your dry fly fishing.
It was, man, Dom, it was pretty dang close to early on when I was fishing Harveys. I showed you that sentimental leader wallet I had. Mm-hmm. I texted it to you the other day, and that's just something that was part of the approach with us and my family. And my dad just took a liking to Harvey and all his books, and it was just one of those ingrained things with the Harvey leader, man. And understanding all the, the numbers, right? I showed you that handwritten numbers of the diameters of all his leaders.
Yeah, your dad's writing.
And that was something that, as I'm prepping for the season, like right now we're in runoff, I'm tying, buttoning up my boxes with certain flies, and same thing with the leaders. But that was part of like the prep in late winter in my household was freaking sitting there tying Harvey leaders.
Blood nuts.
And so I'm almost spoiled, like, with that being the expectation. And I'll tell you, I would hate it when we would run out. Like if you're on a fishing trip and I ran out of a Harvey leader, I'm like, no, I don't want that store-bought piece of shit. Like I don't want any of that. And so maybe I was raised in a family of Harvey leaders. And I know that sounds corny, but I guess I took it for granted how monumental that is.
Yeah. Since 2006, Yeti has been building products for anglers who fish hard and share an addiction for the woods and the water. Yeti changed the industry with their legendary coolers by featuring rugged but simple designs built to last for generations and stand up to whatever Mother Nature might bring. Yeti now takes that same functional and elegant design to everything in their lineup, from soft coolers to drinkware bags and more. Introducing the Easy Access Ranchero Backpack. It's the latest to join Yeti's lineup of tough-as-nails bags, and it's another part of my fishing gear that keeps me organized and ready on the water. The Ranchero backpack features a cutting-edge rip-zip opening, so you can quickly tear the bag open to see the gear you need in just seconds. With smart internal organization, there's no more digging through your backpack for tippet spools or fly boxes. And for even more convenience, a handy vertical zipper allows you to grab gear at the bottom without having to unpack from the top. Get in, get out, and get going. Check out the Ranchero line of backpacks at Yeti.com or find them at a Yeti retailer store near you. So I want to tell you about Tajima Direct. They make the best polarized lenses on the market. Tajima gives me perfectly clear vision and more detail with less eye strain, so I see more fish. The process is simple. Take a pair of your sunglasses and send them in to Tajima. In short order, you'll get your frames back with your choice of lens tints that are specifically designed for fly fishing. With both prescription and non-prescription, Tajima's patented lens technology results in the best lenses I've ever worn, including every top brand out there. So I wear polarized lenses all day, every day, on the water. And I've been rotating in Tajima's brown 15 green mirror for average light days, and their yellow-green 40 silver mirror for the cloudy low light days that I love to fish. I can tell you that for me, having Tajima's prescription lenses in the right lens tints has been a game changer. I put my glasses on, and I don't think about them again until the end of the trip. Send in your own frames today. Visit tajima-direct.com. That's TAJIMA-direct.com. Upgrade your lenses and see what you've been missing.
I stumbled into it, I guess. My friend John was we went to Fisherman's Paradise, and they had the leader kit there for sale.
Oh, at Fly Fishers, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, this is $25, but all these other leaders are like $5 a piece. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I can tie all these, and it tells me what to tie. It comes with like they came with
yellow book. Remember?
Yeah, I still have two of them.
Yellow pamphlet. Yeah,
and I
Steve Sawinski put that out.
Yeah, and so I guess I just stumbled into it, whether it was by luck or whatever, and it was like, I don't know. I was probably a couple weeks into fly fishing, and I was like, okay, well, I'll just buy this because I can make them. I hated tying blood knots for years. I was just like, these stupid knots.
Man, that yellow book, that brings back memories.
I got
telling
one.
You,
I'll find it.
That's really what got me. I was tying leaders before that, almost out of necessity, because I was fishing small streams, and I was tying some small stream leaders out of the Charlie Meck book. And I had Harvey leaders, and I had tied some of them. But Matt, I didn't really understand the purpose of them, and I didn't understand how different they were either.
Yep.
Did you just pull that book up? That pamphlet up? He's got it right
sick.
There.
Yeah. That's fantastic, man.
Hey, see if you could take a shot of that. I might make that the cover. Put that beside like some other fishing gear.
Oh, it even tells you how to tie a blood knot in here. See,
I know.
I
remember that.
It's got Steve. Steve's got
Steve Sawinski.
Yeah.
If you can put that beside, I don't know, some Maxima Chameleon spools or something, I'd love to make that the cover.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Dom, I don't know when it hit me, when I understood, to your point, the delivery and the different builds and how it projects different flies cleanly, because I took it for granted. But I feel like there was a time where I might have gotten lazy and did some of the store-bought stuff.
Oh yeah,
and then
same
I'm
here.
like, wow, man.
Yes.
There's nothing better than putting on a fresh Harvey leader. I don't. It's better than a freaking the fly itself. You're gonna put it on, and it's just magically cast so beautifully. And I'm like, I don't know. I was there, and then I went away from it, and then I'm back hardcore to appreciate how important that is.
You had to step away.
I bought a name brand leader. It was just it was just for brook trout, and I was like, well, I'll use it for brook trout. It won't matter. Yeah. And I was like, this thing sucks. I
got spoiled.
I think I fished with it for about 6 hours, and
Oh, it handicaps you.
Yeah.
That was a big breakthrough for me. Again, I was tying them pretty early, I guess, but I guess I can't put my finger on the moment when I really understood the Harvey leader, but over a period of time, I was like, oh, well, this thing, I can get a lot better. If I cast it this way and that way, I can really, I think, get more out of it.
Yeah.
So one of my big ones was the Dwight Landis guidebook, Dwight Landis, Trout Streams of Pennsylvania. And I had the privilege of meeting and even talking with Dwight Landis a couple times in our Trout Unlimited group, local stream, or local Trout Unlimited group. And he's great. Great guy.
I was thinking of a kid in a candy store when I found that book.
Yeah. Well, you did. You loved it too, that book?
I loved I still have that. Yeah.
Me too.
I still have it. It's probably the most used book I think I had.
For fishing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't just give away every spot. It gives you just enough information to not burn it down, but to give you an inkling of okay, this might be worth fishing. Or... and that book's, what is that, 20? So I think it's 20
91, I think maybe it was, I'm really guessing, but I think it was 91 was maybe the first edition. I think there are 4 editions, and now it's out of print.
Okay. But yeah, I love that book too.
Bill, I think what you pointed out, how Dwight composed that book, he didn't just burn everything down. I'm sure there's still plenty of people who were pissed at him because, hey, you talked about this and that. I get that. I know. But you and I and so many other people benefited from that book. And I'm with you, man. That's the book that I wore out. I had to get a second edition, or I think I got the third edition. What I had to get a second copy because my first copy was all kinds of messed up, totally pulled apart. The binding was gone, and I had loose pages and stuff. I'm just going to get a new copy because it had new information. It was a different edition.
I remember being up in the middle of some stream, like I don't know, when I was using it, I didn't have GPS. And I'm trying to use this map, and I run into some guy in the middle of the woods, right on this stream, and he's, he's like, well, it's like, who the hell made this map? It sucks. But it got me there. But like, I remember this guy that was in the middle of nowhere was trying to give me directions, and he's like,
he was looking at the Landis map.
Yeah, he was looking at one of the maps of like a remote northern stream, and he was just like, this is he's like, this is different.
Sort of the point, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't trying to like pinpoint you right there.
But it was just kind of funny the way that guy, was all fired up about it.
I really respect the way that Dwight did that. Great book. Still the best.
Yeah.
One moment in my angling career that sticks out was a trip we made out west. So my brother had lived in Durango, Colorado for a few years and ended up moving back. My old man actually broke his back. He fell out of you guys probably never heard that story, but he fell out of his tree stand archery hunting. Anyway, he had to have back surgery, and my older brother came home, and I graduated 2001 from high school, and that was my first trip out west, and we drove from PA to Durango, Colorado.
Nice.
And just the whole experience, right? Just kind of west of the Mississippi and getting into the Rocky Mountains was my first like, oh wow. There's a lot of fishing in our country in general, and it kind of opened my eyes to just the fact that this North America, the lower 48, man, it's arguably the epicenter of chasing trout with a fly. We're spoiled, man. We're super spoiled, and there's a lot of exploration that you can do by just jumping in a vehicle. Dom, I know you did something similar at one point, and in one way that I don't know if that forged my destiny out west, but it contributed to that, knowing like, wow, there's a lot of fishing out there. A lot
of public land too, which is somewhat unique compared to some other countries. Yeah.
Right. And then it led me to we're talking about Landis. It led me to different guidebooks and just reading and imagining all that stuff. So that was another one that I will never forget on my journey as an angler.
I love it. As I was thinking about this, we're talking about all the things that have been kind of landmarks and discoveries or big breakthroughs for us. And now I'm going to be 50 this summer. And no, but really, I've been looking back through. Well, Sloop's the older one,
dude,
right? But other than that, I'm like, I am the older guy of the group. That just means I'm better than all you guys.
What about Sawyer? Sawyer's younger than you?
Sawyer's like 1 month younger, I think.
Okay.
We might have Sawyer on next week. We might have our buddy Steve on next week. We'll see. But anyway, I guess I bring that up because I don't know if it's the age. I don't know if it's the number. I don't really care, but I am thinking about it, right? Really, the fact that Austin's having a baby here, or just had a baby, and I think about, man, my son's 16 my oldest is 16 and a half, and I'm thinking like, how Austin's one of all of our best friends, and I got a best friend here who's just, it's like he's just starting life in a way, and I've been really reflective this past year. We lost some special people to us as well, and all those things have made me kind of reflective. And maybe it's why I was thinking about this podcast topic as well, and just thinking about all the things I've learned. And this is cool that to hear, what your pivotal moments were too. One thing that I keep searching for is like the next one, and I almost get worried that like maybe there isn't a real big one left. And gosh, I hope so. And I keep looking for it. I keep searching for it. That's a big deal to me. When I'm out there, I'm always trying to look for that next breakthrough. And you know what? I'll just say this in passing. You realize we didn't talk about the flies. It's like, it's not a fly. If anybody
No.
disagrees, speak up. But
No.
I'm not looking for that next fly. Yeah, we got our Troutbitten Superfly, right? But that's not a big breakthrough, right? It's these other things that we talked about. Anyway, I'm still looking for those things. And like this past winter, like I told you guys, I kind of had a breakthrough on the crossover stuff. But to be honest, it's a minor thing. And then that success kind of petered out a little bit too. But I got a new way of doing it. It was a minor breakthrough. But these big ones, I almost feel like they're gone, you know?
There's always a new river to learn.
Sure.
I guess that's
a big one.
That's
Yeah.
like my constant, I guess, breakthroughs where I feel like I go back, like this winter. I feel like I've gone back and refished some water that I haven't in a while, and it produced better fish than I thought was in that stream, and so that makes me think like, okay, well, you know, maybe I fished the stream a dozen times, but I didn't hit it on the day, right? The day that it's on. One of the breakthroughs I had this winter was just like the water type in some of our rivers, like just stop trying to force fish to try to eat in the sexy water. And
What's the sexy stuff? Just briefly, what do you mean?
looks good. Like it. Oh, that's a beautiful run.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that I'm gonna catch a fish out of that run, and I'll, you know, I feel like sometimes I just try to. You get in a habit of just forcing something where you're like, oh, that looks so good, I have to cycle through 5 flies, and instead of doing that, I fish like a completely different water type, and I was like, oh, I'm catching a lot of fish in this water type, so I need to, not try to waste time in other areas of the river.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think of just breakthroughs. Every year it's something different. Like Deli said, maybe it's, tackling some new water, getting really excited about that, or, maybe it's, approaching your home water in a different manner, because maybe you didn't spend that much time in that waterway at a certain month of the year, trying to catch fish on dry flies, or maybe it's, heavily pressured and you're like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to see if I can get fish. Everyone keeps talking about how crowded it is. But maybe I'm going to get out there and see what I can do, trailing people, or,
It's a good challenge.
And so I feel like that part is, maybe different from like the numbers breakthrough or the technique breakthrough.
Good call.
That maybe was so monumental, right? We've been saying that word all night. When it came to the numbers game and the success catching fish, but now it's like you're trying to translate that into some different avenues to keep yourself in the game and challenged.
That's nice.
Yeah, I fully expect there to be still more breakthroughs. I mean, I'm 30. Like there better be, Like we always you think about how you can't go back to like when these things were fresh and you got to experience all this new success. And it makes me think of the subtitle of one of my favorite fishing books, which is Bash Lines, the final frontier, the night concept
game.
of night game.
Yeah.
And I just think about like that's still like the Wild West to me.
That's
like
a good
that
point.
concept. And so
there's
I think
a lot of breakthroughs.
I think there's a lot of breakthrough left at night.
Yeah, and you're kind of obsessed with the night game.
I am. Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that either. That's the most undiscovered.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm hopeful. Eternally hopeful.
That's a good way to put it, Josh. I love it. Hey, will you read us out, bud? Josh Darling, read us out.
Yeah, for sure. Remember, the Troutbitten Project is a free resource for all anglers. The Troutbitten website hosts over 1,500 articles, videos, and podcasts with endless stories, commentaries, tactics, tips, and more. Find what you like through the top menu and through the search page. Navigate by way of the categories and tags too. And be sure to find the Troutbitten YouTube channel now featuring the Troutbitten Tips series, Fly Fishing the Mono Rig, and the Troutbitten Fly Box, all in collaboration with Wilds Media.
Hey, that's you.
That's me. You'll also find the fish and film videos in the new Riverside series, all in their own playlists on the Troutbitten YouTube. Thank you for listening to the Troutbitten Podcast. Please give the show a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leave a comment because that really helps. Until next time, friends, fish hard, enjoy the day, and find your life on the water.
Hey now.